At the heart of Andy Hillstrand's story is something deeper than fame or fishing. It's the bond he shared with his brother, Jonathan Hillstrand. Together, they were the backbone of the Time Bandit, one of the most iconic boats in Deadliest Catch. Their chemistry was unlike anything else on the show. They could argue fiercely one moment and laugh uncontrollably the next. Viewers loved that authenticity. It wasn't scripted brotherhood, it was real. They grew up on the sea, learning from their father, who taught them both the art and danger of crab fishing. When they joined the show, they carried that family legacy with pride. But fame often changes relationships. The cameras caught their fights, their tears, and their victories. Moments that were supposed to stay between brothers suddenly belonged to the world. That constant exposure created invisible tension. Jonathan, who enjoyed the attention a bit more, sometimes clashed with Andy, who valued privacy. Yet through every storm, both real and emotional, they stayed loyal to each other. Their relationship symbolized something universal. That even when life gets messy, family ties remain the strongest anchor. After Andy left, Jonathan continued with Deadliest Catch. But fans could see the difference. Without his brother by his side, the Time Bandit didn't feel like home anymore. It was a reminder that the show was built on brotherhood. And that's something you can't replace with cameras or ratings. Even after years away from television, Andy Hillstrand's presence continues to echo across fan communities. Online forums, Facebook groups, and YouTube comment sections are filled with people reminiscing about their favorite Andy moments. His sarcastic jokes, his tough leadership, and his heartwarming mentorship of young deckhands. Fans often describe him as the most real guy on TV. And in an age where many reality stars crave attention, Andy's disappearance only made him more admired. People respected him for walking away instead of selling out. Some fans even call his exit the most authentic thing he ever did. It's rare in today's entertainment world to see someone turn down fame for peace of mind. But Andy did exactly that. Occasionally, an old photo surfaces, Andy smiling on his ranch, riding a horse, or attending a small event. And fans flood the comments with love. He looks happy, they say. That's all that matters. It's touching to see how deeply his authenticity impacted people. Andy might not post much or seek attention, but his legacy continues through the loyalty of his fans. In their eyes, he represents something missing in modern entertainment: honesty. They were warned that fame can destroy good people, but Andy's story shows that it can also reveal who the good ones really are. The ocean has always been more than just a workplace for Andy Hillstrand. It was his greatest teacher. Years of battling brutal waves and unpredictable weather gave him a philosophy about life that fans still quote. He often said, "The sea doesn't care who you are. It humbles everyone." Those words carried more meaning than most realized at the time. To Andy, the ocean represented truth. You can't fake strength or control out there. Nature always wins. That same wisdom applies to fame. No matter how popular you get, life has a way of humbling you. The storm never ends. It just changes form. After leaving Deadliest Catch, Andy used that mindset to rebuild his life. He poured his energy into his horse ranch, using patience and respect, the same principles he learned from years at sea. When he works with animals, he says it reminds him of working with a crew. You have to lead with calm, not anger. You can't force things. You have to guide them. That simple, grounded philosophy is why so many people still admire him. Andy never pretended to be perfect. He made mistakes, argued, and burned out. But he faced it all honestly. And that honesty, in a world full of performance, is what keeps his name alive even years after leaving TV. When people think of Deadliest Catch, they picture cold waves, giant crabs, and dangerous storms. But there's another kind of storm the show rarely shows, the psychological one. Constant filming, lack of privacy, and the pressure to stay entertaining can take a mental toll on anyone. Andy Hillstrand once said that the hardest part wasn't the ocean, it was the fame. For someone used to the simple rhythm of fishing, being recognized everywhere and constantly asked for autographs was exhausting. The fame that was supposed to celebrate his hard work became another kind of job, one that never ended. Over time, Andy became more private, avoiding interviews and public appearances. He started focusing on mental peace rather than ratings or fame. This side of his story highlights a truth that applies to many reality stars. The audience only sees the edited version. Behind the laughter and action shots are sleepless nights, anxiety, and emotional fatigue. For Andy, stepping away was not weakness, it was survival. He proved that walking away from fame doesn't mean giving up. It means choosing to live on your own terms. And in that choice, Andy showed what true courage looks like. After Andy's departure, the Time Bandit continued to appear on Deadliest Catch. but something essential had changed. Jonathan tried to carry on, but fans could feel the absence. The dynamic energy that Andy brought, that balance of humor and leadership, was missing. The boat still caught crabs, storms still came, but the spirit was different. Even Jonathan admitted that fishing without Andy didn't feel right. Over time, the Time Bandit itself faced challenges: mechanical issues, financial struggles, and the weight of keeping up the legacy. Fans began asking for Andy's return, filling social media with messages like, "Bring Andy back," and "The Time Bandit isn't the same without him." But Andy never returned. He had made his peace with the sea, and forcing him back into the spotlight would go against everything he stood for. The Time Bandit became a symbol of nostalgia, a reminder of an era when two brothers ruled the waves together. And though new captains and crews came and went, no one could fill that void. The Hillstrand brothers' time on the show became legendary, a golden chapter that ended on Andy's terms. What makes Andy Hillstrand's story so powerful is not how famous he became, but how he walked away from it. Most people spend their whole lives chasing recognition, trying to be seen, trying to be remembered. Andy already had all that: fans, money, success. But he still chose a simpler life. It takes real strength to do that. In interviews, he once said, "You can't fish forever. You can't fight forever. At some point, you've got to enjoy the calm." Those words describe his philosophy perfectly. He realized that life isn't about being in the spotlight. It's about finding peace in small things: a quiet morning, a horse ride, or time with family. His choice teaches a lesson about priorities in a world that often forgets them. The warnings people gave him weren't about the sea. They were about the danger of losing yourself in fame. And Andy listened. He walked away before the fame could change him completely. In doing so, he showed the world that real success isn't measured in money or viewers. It's measured in peace of mind. Years have passed since Andy Hillstrand's last appearance, but his spirit still lives on in every episode of Deadliest Catch. New captains still talk about him with respect. Younger fishermen mention his name as someone they looked up to. Not because he was perfect, but because he was real. His journey from the Bering Sea to a quiet ranch is more than just a career shift. It's a story about transformation. It's proof that you can live a full life even after stepping away from fame. In a way, Andy Hillstrand is still teaching people, not about fishing, but about resilience, family, and balance. Fans still hope he might one day make a small return, even just for a reunion episode. But even if he never does, his impact is already permanent. Andy's story reminds us that sometimes the greatest victories don't happen in front of cameras. They happen in silence when you finally find yourself again. Maybe that's the real warning we were given all along, that no matter how big the storm, peace is worth chasing. In the end, the story of Andy Hillstrand is both a cautionary tale and a celebration. It's a story about a man who faced the harshest seas and the even harsher spotlight of fame, and came out stronger by choosing peace. They warned us about Andy, but maybe those warnings weren't about danger or failure. Maybe they were about understanding that real heroes don't stay in front of cameras forever. They find their peace and move on. Andy Hillstrand did just that. His laughter, his wisdom, and his courage still echo through every fan who remembers him. And though we may never see him on the Time Bandit again, his spirit sails on. In every wave, every storm, and every quiet moment of reflection. Because the truth is, Andy never needed fame to be a legend. He already was one. Andy Hillstrand was not just another fisherman. He was a symbol of courage, humor, and leadership in one of television's most dangerous reality shows, Deadliest Catch. Viewers first met him as the co-captain of the Time Bandit, one of the most famous crab boats in the Bering Sea. From the very first episode, Andy's energy stood out. He had that mix of rough toughness and calm intelligence that made him instantly likable. He joked with his crew, argued with his brother Jonathan, and faced the ocean with a smile that hid the constant threat of death. For millions of fans, Andy wasn't just a captain. He was the heart of the show. But what most people didn't know was that behind those big laughs and fearless moments, there were quiet warnings. People close to the production often said Andy was different, unpredictable, strong-willed, and not easy to control. At first, no one paid attention. He was good television, the kind of real personality that producers dream about. But as the years went by, it became clear that Andy Hillstrand's story was more complex than anyone expected. His success came at a cost that few truly understood. When Deadliest Catch started, no one could imagine how huge it would become. The show turned ordinary crab fishermen into international stars. Andy and his brother Jonathan became household names, their faces appearing on magazine covers and fan shirts. But fame, especially the kind that comes from reality TV, can be a double-edged sword. while Andy handled the fame with his usual humor. The truth was that the cameras never stopped rolling, not even when things got tense. The production schedule was brutal. Every mistake, every argument, every tough moment at sea was filmed and edited for drama. Andy once joked that he had more cameras than crew members on board. Over time, that constant spotlight began to wear him down. Fishing in freezing waters was already dangerous, but now he had to worry about entertaining millions of viewers. Friends later said he became quieter between seasons, more thoughtful. He started questioning how much control he really had over his life. They warned him, one crewmate recalled. They said fame changes everything, but he thought he could handle it. The pressure of television fame, long hours, and life-threatening work were beginning to take their toll, even on someone as tough as Andy Hillstrand. Then came 2010, the year that changed everything. News broke that Andy and his brother Jonathan were involved in a major legal dispute with Discovery Channel. The problem? A promotional spin-off project called Hillstranded. The brothers had agreed to star in it, but creative disagreements soon exploded into a full-blown conflict. According to reports, the Hillstrands backed out after filming, saying they didn't like how the footage was being used. Discovery responded by filing a lawsuit for over $3 million, accusing them of breach of contract. Fans were stunned. How could two of the show's biggest stars be fighting the very network that made them famous? Andy, known for his calm leadership, suddenly found himself in a corporate storm far worse than anything in the Bering Sea. It wasn't just about money. It was about control. The brothers felt the network was pushing them too far, using their real lives for drama they didn't agree with. The lawsuit dragged on for months, creating a tension that split the Deadliest Catch community. While the legal battle was eventually settled, the experience left deep scars. Andy's laughter faded. He began questioning whether the fame and money were worth the emotional strain. And though the cameras kept rolling, something inside him had already started to change. After the lawsuit, things were never quite the same. Andy returned for a few more seasons, but the spark was different. Viewers noticed he smiled less, argued more, and seemed tired of the whole showbiz circus. By 2017, he quietly disappeared from Deadliest Catch without much explanation. Fans speculated endlessly. Was it health issues? A fight with Discovery? Burnout? The truth, according to Andy himself, was simple but heartbreaking. He was done. It just got to be too much, he said in a rare interview. The stress, the cameras, the pressure to perform, it had all piled up. For a man who once thrived on the excitement of danger, Andy had grown tired of pretending. The sea, which had always been his home, had become a stage he no longer wanted to stand on. Even his brother Jonathan admitted that Andy needed peace. "We've been doing this for decades," he said. "You reach a point where you just can't keep chasing storms." For the fans, his exit felt like the end of an era. The Time Bandit without Andy wasn't the same. The show continued, but something was missing. That spark of brotherly energy and warmth that had made the series so human. When Andy left Deadliest Catch, he didn't chase more fame or try to stay in the public eye. Instead, he returned to his roots. Away from the cameras, he focused on his family and his ranch in Indiana, where he trains horses, a lifelong passion. He even started teaching riding lessons and helping others find peace through working with animals. It's a far cry from the violent waves of the Bering Sea, but in many ways, it's the same spirit. Andy once said that working with horses is like working with the ocean. Both demand respect, patience, and courage. Fans who've met him since say he's calmer, happier, and more at peace. He's also stayed in touch with his old crew and occasionally checks in with his brother. Though he no longer fishes for the cameras, he still lives by the same code: hard work, loyalty, and humor. In small ways, he remains the same Andy everyone loved, just without the spotlight. It's as if he traded fame for freedom. And while many celebrities struggle to adjust to normal life after fame, Andy seems to have found something much rarer: contentment. Andy Hillstrand's story is more than just one man's journey. It's a reflection of what happens when reality television meets real human lives. Deadliest Catch became a worldwide success because it showed raw, unfiltered danger. But behind every episode were real people risking their lives, not actors, not characters, real fathers, brothers, and friends. The pressure to perform, to deliver drama for millions of viewers, can slowly crush even the strongest personalities. Andy's experience with lawsuits, stress, and emotional exhaustion reminds us that fame always comes with a hidden cost. Many people warned him, producers, friends, even other captains, that the show could wear him down. But at the time, he was unstoppable, driven by passion and pride. When he finally stepped away, it wasn't because he failed. It was because he realized that some things, peace, family, health, are worth more than television ratings. His decision to leave may have disappointed fans,